Hello, bonjour, good morning. My name is Joost Wagner, and I'm your conference facilitator today. So thank you for joining the opening session for the Sub-Saharan Africa and MENA region for our conference, Turning the COVID-19 Crisis into an Opportunity, What's Next for Social Protection? Before we start, I would like to highlight the fact that we are using Zoom meeting. So please keep your mic muted and your video off if you are not speaking. And also, if you haven't done it so, please show your first name and surname on your window. And now I would like to remind you that we have translation, interpretation, and we are going to show you a slide for that, how to find it. So, il y a une traduction en français maintenant. So simultaneous translation is available. So please go to the little button at the bottom and you can choose between English and French. This is important for everybody who speaks only one language. And you can also mute the original audio in case that it's in the back and it's disturbing you. Okay, I will remind you of this option later. So without further ado, I have the pleasure to introduce you to Mariana Balboni. She is a Senior Project Officer at the International Policy Center for Inclusive Growth, a partnership between UNDP and the Brazilian government. But most of us know her as a coordinator for socialprotection.org, and she and her team worked for many months on preparing this truly global conference. So over to you, Mariana.
Thank you very much, Joost. Dear colleagues, chers amis, I'm very pleased to welcome you to our Global e-conference, Turning the COVID-19 Crisis into an Opportunity, What's Next for Social Protection? As you all know, we are going through an unprecedented and delicate time, struggling with a global pandemic caused by a new, largely unknown virus and a dire economic crisis resulting from containment measures in response to the health emergency. Social protection has never been more important. Governments and the global community are more open than ever to discuss and implement broader social protection policies and universal measures. This crisis could have a silver lining, representing a real opportunity to expand existing systems and extend social protection for all. Yet, unfortunately, we are seeing millions falling back into poverty and hunger. The past months have been completely overwhelming for every organization involved in social protection, as we worked around the clock to support countries and governments all over the world with their responses to COVID-19. We are happy to be able to provide a virtual space for the community to reflect, share experiences, take stock of what has been accomplished, and plan coming actions. So we have designed this conference with your collaboration to meet the following objectives. Provide this global forum to assess, exchange knowledge about, and facilitate learning on social protection responses to COVID-19. Discuss the future of social protection in the context of the pandemic, and celebrate the achievements of the socialprotection.org platform over its 5 years of existence. Many of the activities of this event were elaborated considering a framework that encompasses 8 main dimensions for improving, expanding, or building systems to better meet people's needs. These dimensions are coverage, comprehensiveness, adequacy, timeliness, cost-effectiveness, accountability to affected populations, sustainability, and delivery chain. These dimensions are reflected in the guiding questions of the conference, which we hope to tackle with you this week. We have done our best to offer you a stimulating and motivational program with diverse sessions formats and many possibilities for interaction. We hope that you find the time to fully engage in this learning journey with us. And now I have the pleasure to hand back to our lead facilitator for the conference, Joost Wagner, who's based in Bangkok and who has facilitated quite a number of conferences on social protection, especially in Asia. So the floor is yours, Joost.
Thank you very much, Mariana, for setting the context. And now let's hear some welcoming words from the organization partners of this event and the supporters of socialprotection.org. We will hear welcome messages from the IPC-IG director, who is at the same time the UNDP Brazil resident representative. We will hear from the Department for Foreign Affairs and Trade from Australia. We will hear from the Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development from Germany. And of course, we will also hear from the co-chairs of the Social Protection Interagency Cooperation Board Secretariat, our colleagues from the ILO and from the World Bank. Given the time zones, we are doing this opening over 3 different time zones. We have asked our speakers to record a short message of not more than 3 minutes. So let's hear it from them.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to this conference on behalf of the International Policy Center for Inclusive Growth, which is the result of a partnership agreement between the government of Brazil and the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. The IPC-IG aims at promoting the exchange of experience, knowledge, capacity for the design of policy that contribute to inclusive growth, poverty and inequality reduction, and human development. The socialprotection.org platform is a member-based platform hosted by the IPC-IG and supported by the German Development Agency and Australia's Departments of Foreign Affairs and Trade, with the objective to promote global knowledge sharing on social protection policy. Since its launching in 2015, the platform has made a significant contribution in facilitating the exchange of knowledge between policymakers, practitioners, research, and experts. This conference represents also the conclusion of the social protection response to COVID-19 task force. The task force was created in late March of this year in recognition of the crucial role of social protection policy on responding to the social economic consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic. Finally, later today, the IPC-IG will present the first result of the mapping of social protection responses. The mapping provides an important starting point, not only to outline the responses taken across the world, but also to understand to what extent the measures taken may lead to more robust social protection system, making the right to social protection available for everyone. This conference is the prime example for how global learning and exchange can take place in times of global pandemic. I would like to congratulate all colleagues from the socialprotection.org platform and the IPC-IG for the making of this a worldwide collaborative learning platform. Without further ado, I would like to wish you all stimulating and productive discussion over the next 4 days. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Lisa Hannigan. I'm the Director of Social Protection at the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade in Australia. It's an enormous pleasure to welcome you to this event. I love the thought of us all being brought together to discuss something so very important at the moment. As a government organisation that cares about social protection, we're extremely proud to be long-term funding partner of socialprotection.org. I'm sure a number of you remember its humble beginnings. I think it was 2012 when we had a Social Protection Interagency Cooperation Board meeting in Hyderabad, where this shell of a system was an agenda item. And I think it's fair to say that not everybody was overly impressed at that time. It had automatic feeds of documents from other sites, but not much more. There was a vision, but it really needed some donor support to make it useful. And I'm very pleased that we had the opportunity then and since to provide funding, and obviously also very pleased that GIZ has joined too. Of course, we weren't as visionary as our colleagues who run socialprotection.org. We thought it could be a worthwhile project, but I'll be the first to admit I didn't think it would take off in the way that it has. I couldn't envisage it facilitating a gathering like this, for example. So we now have knowledge products that we need at our fingertips, not sitting somewhere on a dusty shelf. We have webinars reaching people with essential, highly relevant and timely information. We have 57 communities of practice, linking people grappling with similar issues. So you've signed in today because social protection is so very important. It's important that social protection systems exist, that they cover those who need assistance, when they need assistance, and are built to be shock responsive and gender sensitive. Lives and livelihoods do depend on this. So us taking some time out for this sort of event to learn from each other and take this learning back to the front lines of the systems on which we're working has the real potential to improve the lives of people worst hit by the crisis. So I thank you all so much for being here today, for sharing experiences, for helping to work through what the future holds for social protection, for taking the time to learn from others, for working to translate this learning into system improvements on the ground that affect those who most need assistance. And I thank socialprotection.org for going the extra mile and pulling us all together over the next 3 days. This humble, non-branded 5-year-old platform is performing an essential service for all of us. So thank you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I'm very excited to have the opportunity to open this very timely event today that brings together the diverse social protection community around the world. This is a most welcome opportunity to take stock of COVID-19 social protection responses and to brainstorm on the lessons from this global disaster to build better social protection for all. The current pandemic shows us in a catastrophic way that social protection programs are a very important, if not the most important, element to fighting the socio-economic consequences of this crisis. Early evidence suggests that countries with existing and adaptive social protection programs are better prepared to reduce the effects of crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Germany has a historically strong and well-advanced social protection system. With this in mind, the Federal German Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development has been particularly dedicated in supporting countries globally in developing and expanding their social protection systems. Social protection is a cornerstone of our COVID-19 response. We have substantially expanded our funding in this area in recent months. For example, for emergency social protection benefits and system strengthening in India, Brazil and Tunisia. We are committed to new ways of working across the humanitarian and development nexus. Thus, we want to ensure that short-term crisis response contributes to long-term resilience and sustainable nationally owned systems. One example is our engagement in the Sahel, where we are funding major regional programs with several multilateral partners. This allows us to support the establishment of adaptive social protection systems, while linking resilience report and COVID-19 emergency cash transfers into those systems. We have commissioned the program Global Alliances for Social Protection in order to support global exchange and mutual learning on the various topics related to social protection. The International Policy Center for Inclusive Growth and the Social Protection Platform have been strong and important partners to making this exchange and learning a success. It is somewhat tragic that a pandemic that forces many into lockdown and virtual collaboration highlighted the platform's importance. Thanks to all of you, the platform became an even more important forum for exchange and learning in the field of social protection during the crisis. It is amazing to see that Social Protection.org has gathered this great community of social protection practitioners with your strong commitment and dedication towards achieving universal social protection in 2030. With this said, I wish Social Protection Org a happy 5th anniversary and all of you a great exchange and fruitful discussions today and tomorrow. Thank you very much.
More than 6 months into the COVID-19 pandemic, we're still in the middle of a socioeconomic crisis, the likes of which many of us had not seen in our lifetimes. Social protection, as we've seen, has been the first line of defense against the meltdown in jobs, incomes, and livelihoods. But despite the fury of activities that have happened in this area, and our various monitors have been capturing those, there have been huge inequalities in the size, scale, and efficacy of the measures that have been taken across countries. The effort to mobilize resources domestically and put in place social protection and health measures in low-income countries and developing countries more generally has been much weaker than what high-income countries have been able to do, especially since those countries have also thrown out the old rule books about how much fiscal resources can be spent. Indeed, we seem very likely to emerge from this crisis even more unequal than we entered it. Today, we are standing at a very critical crossroads. Can we turn the COVID-19 crisis into an opportunity, as the title of this e-conference by Social Protection Org asks, and really use it to build the kind of robust and universal social protection systems that we need to make the right to social security finally a reality for everyone? Or are we just going to stumble through this crisis again, as we did with previous ones, and leave ourselves exposed and unprepared for future shocks that are likely to come, whether it's from the climate crisis, from other health pandemics, or from economic and financial markets? Investing in universal and comprehensive social protection systems needs fiscal resources. And our research calculations at the ILO show that for low-income countries, domestic resource mobilization is just not going to be enough. And those efforts need to be complemented by international resources. But today, as in previous times, many options exist for mobilizing resources, whether it is by reducing the huge outflow of illicit financial flows that countries are losing every day, or by increasing wealth taxes, for example. Investing in universal and comprehensive social protection systems is affordable, and frankly, we cannot afford not to do so. Has anyone counted the cost of not having such a system in place? It's high time that we do that.
Hello, on behalf of the SPIAC-B, which I have an honor to co-chair with Shara Razavi from the ILO, I would like to very much welcome you to the global e-conference on turning the COVID-19 crisis into an opportunity and into very important and very timely discussions what's next for social protection. Let me share with you a few, not only intuitions, but a few thoughts that are backed by the research and activities we've done in the World Bank since March, since the COVID crisis started. First, let me start with something pre-COVID, which is that many of you would know that last year we published a so-called white paper, which I'm showing you the cover now, on protecting all and how to do risk sharing for a diverse and diversifying world of work. The main thought of the white paper is that social protection needs to be independent from the status of being in the labor market, because what's happening is that in developed countries, labor markets become more and more fluid, and in developing countries, there is no formalization proceeding on. India was 90% informal 50 years ago, is 90% informal now. The career paths in developed world often include being in full employment, being in partial employment, being in migration and working elsewhere, being contracted out, being self-employed. And we want social protection to support all those individuals in the informal sector, as well as those who are in fluid situation in various forms of the formal sector. COVID crisis only emphasizes how important that is. What COVID crisis did is that in addition to emphasizing the importance of, I think, what I just said, it also exposed the missing middle as being the most vulnerable to pandemics. If you look at typical developing country, you would see that formal sector workers were covered by their schemes, including pension schemes, and the poorest of the poor in the rural areas were often covered by cash transfers, but urban informal workers were not. And this already was a problem before COVID, and they are the most affected in the COVID. So we need very quickly to expand, and this is what we are doing in the bank. We are expanding social safety nets. We are helping many countries to do that, to cover urban informal sector. When we are lucky, and the governments are lucky, there is a social registry, that we can account for everybody, it is all fine. But in many countries, it's not all fine because there is no social registry. And then we need to be extremely imaginative. Go out and use imaginative procedures to reach out to those who are affected. Mobile phone operators' data, tax records data, and others. And that's what we are doing left and right. We plan in this fiscal year of the World Bank to lend almost $8 billion for social protection in reaction to COVID. We already lent more than $1 billion in India, and we are coming to a new loan around $1 billion in Brazil. So we are very much present. At the end of the day, however, where the rubber hits the road will be whether the countries can create sustainable social protection programs in response to COVID, programs that cover those in the missing middle in addition to others, and those in a way that doesn't depend on the formal employment status people have. Thank you very much, and I wish you very, very good time, and I wish you that you enjoy your time and learn a lot during your sessions. Bye-bye.
How did it all start? The socialprotection.org platform was created in response to a recommendation from the Development Working Group of the G20. They had requested a repository of learning resources on social protection with a focus on middle and low-income countries. In 2012, a prototype started to be developed by the International Policy Centre for Inclusive Growth with the support of the Australian government in consultation with the Secretariat of the SPIAC-B. So in September of 2015, the platform was officially launched as a space for knowledge sharing and capacity building on social protection. And you made it happen.
Socialprotection.org has succeeded in a very short time to become the most comprehensive and the only place to go for all you need on social protection, for exchanges of ideas, for resources, and gives really a sense of a global community on this topic.
Socialprotection.org is the first place to go if you're looking for social protection related information. It's the first place to go if you're looking for social protection practitioners and experts. But the biggest contribution for me is that it serves as a platform for exchange through webinars, communities, and other formats. And for that, quite frankly, I wouldn't want to miss it.
It's given us coherence, a common roof under which we can work together across regions, across countries, to be focusing on common objectives and driving those forward.
By bringing together all these amazing resources and communities in one place, I think they've created quite new opportunities for mutual learning, exchanging ideas. And in doing so, they've created quite a platform both for practice and for advocacy.
The platform is one of those things that in retrospect you think, how did we do without it? The platform meets the knowledge needs of diverse audiences, from the press to social protection specialists. It helped expand the knowledge frontier by sharing cutting-edge ideas, and the way in which the platform communicates and disseminates knowledge helped raise the profile of social protection globally.
Today, with the support of a community of over 6,500 practitioners, policymakers, and experts, we have become a global network.
My name is Ulrika Long. I'm Senior Policy Advisor for Social Protection at SIDA, the Swedish International Development Agency.
My name is Natalia Wenderossi. I'm the Associate Director of Social Policy in UNICEF.
My name is Cecilia Mbaka from Kenya. I head the National Social Protection Secretariat.
My name is Maria Laura Ena, and I'm the Transform Coordinator.
My name is Juan Gonzalo Jaramillo Mejia, and I am a Social Protection Program Policy Officer at the United Nations World Food Program in Rome.
My name is February Amelia Curry. I'm an advisor for the Global Alliances for Social Protection Program of the GIZ.
And what have we achieved so far? We provide free access to publications, news, events, webinars, and online communities. And the list of materials and services is constantly increasing in number, type, and quality. In December 2015, we began counting with the important support of the German Development Cooperation. The platform started to compile social protection program profiles in 2016 in collaboration with other agencies. The blog and the livestream features were launched in 2017, helping to promote information to a wider audience. And since 2018, our platform is also available in French and Spanish. In that same year, we launched our first online course developed in collaboration with partners. In 2019, we organized a broad webinar series focusing on universal social protection. And here we are in 2020, facing a global pandemic that has caused so many losses and negative impacts. Social protection became the focus of debates on responses to the crisis, and this is bringing new demands to the community. So together with the IPCIG, DFAT and GIZ, we have designed a collaborative initiative to share countries' responses to the pandemic through social protection measures. We have produced a weekly newsletter, a webinar series, and an online community to bring all of this information together. Our joint webinar series had 32 sessions attended by a wide audience of more than 6,000 people. Experts from across the globe were invited to explore and speak about practical solutions for how countries can react to the COVID-19 crisis.
Welcome everyone from across the globe to the second webinar in this Social Protection Responses to COVID-19 series.
They have discussed key issues and shared diverse and insightful country experiences with a focus on finding ways to protect the population at risk due to the pandemic. To close the webinar series and continue to encourage a debate, we have organized our first global e-conference, turning the COVID-19 crisis into an opportunity. What's next for social protection? We are also celebrating socialprotection.org's 5th anniversary, our history and achievements. Our team is constantly working to meet the needs of the community. Our annual satisfaction survey shows that 61% of our users are very satisfied with our services. 84% of the respondents say that the platform has helped expand their knowledge on social protection, and 67% affirm that the platform is their main source of information. We're going in the right direction, and our team has already planned its next technical development phase. Soon we'll be offering our audience a new country profiles section, a page with academic information, and a COVID-19 analytical matrix. We'll also make important improvements in our online communities to enhance its collaborative tools and design. So together we can provide services that are
essential, definitely essential,
motivating,
catalytic,
collaborative,
connecting,
outstanding,
efficient,
inspiration,
essential,
outstanding,
exchange,
a treasure trove,
probably comprehensive,
a goldmine,
excellent,
connecting added value. Thank you very much and happy next 5 years.
Welcome to the Global e-Conference on What's Next for Social Protection.
Thank you very much for this wonderful video. Happy birthday. And I'm sure we all agree with the last quote of wishing the best for the next 5 years. If you want to see the video and many other important links, you will see in the chat. So you should always keep an eye on the chat box throughout the conference. So before we're going to start our regional session, I would like to speak maybe 2 minutes about something what's coming up in the next days. So we have prepared a learning journey for you. So the conference will make use of a wide range of methodologies and tools in different formats to give each attendee the possibility to A, make your own customized program, and B, to get your own practical takeaways. So as you can see on that slide, today we're going to continue with the regional insights from Sub-Saharan Africa and the MENA region. Later we have also insights from Latin America and the Caribbean. Asia and the Pacific has already passed this morning. We're going to have peer-to-peer exchanges after our regional session today. So after the coffee break, you should engage in very meaningful dialogue with some of your peers. Tomorrow, we're going to have the clinics, the roundtables, and the virtual booth talks. And on the 7th of October, we're going to have a couple of side events. And on the 8th, we're going to continue with 2 very interesting expert panel discussions. And then there are some more interactive virtual tools we want you to use, and I will explain about that later. So if you have not customized your program yet, I highly recommend to go to the socialprotection.org website, and there you can make sure that you actually get updates if you click on the option receive email announcements and updates from the organizers in your profile. Okay, so last but not least, I would like to introduce you to Sonia Nida Puma from South Africa. She is actually a graphic recorder, and she will try to capture the most interesting quotes and messages from our conversations in the upcoming session. And I'm going to display her preliminary results at the end of our peer-to-peer dialogue in about 2 hours from now. So last but not least, one more time, maybe one of the most important functions you have to be aware of is the chat box. You can also chat with your colleagues. You can click on participants and see who's in the room. So you can either send a private message, or you can send a comment or an idea to everybody in the group. And you can also write your questions there. If time permits, we try to address some of them. I mean, we can't promise, but let's see how time is going.